pretty excited today because we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing, and that is the photo walk events. Basically, Luke and I have started our mentorship programs and in-person teaching, which is something that we've had on our list for what feels like forever. And yeah, we went to an event that was called a photo walk when we were visiting Kitchener-Waterloo for the Canada Photo Summit. Shout out to them. If you want more information about that, you can definitely look at some of Luke's YouTube videos where he talks and goes through the entire day and what he learned and the behind the scenes of it all. So you can see exactly what it was that we went on. While we were on this photo walk, we kind of got the idea that, hey, you know what? We could actually do this, but probably do it in a more formal way. Not better. I think they did a good job for what it was, right? It was really just like a couple and people got to go and shoot, but there was no real learning part of it.
Yeah, I think it was more like just the intro and get people like excited and shoot and just be out there, right?
Yeah, which is kind of the concept of what we're doing. But for this, we wanted it to be educational. We also wanted it to be a way for people to build their portfolio, because literally every day, I think that there's a post in our local Facebook groups talking about how to become a second shooter for somebody at weddings, or how to build their portfolio, or, you know, looking for couples who would be interested in posing for them so they could build their wedding portfolio. And we thought, well, why don't we just help them? Why don't we help them and do something that we're really passionate about? And also what's really cool about this is that it's a way for us to figure out what people really want to learn and what people are missing, and sort of like, what's that gap look like? And honestly, when it comes down to all of this, I really wish that this was available to us 9 years ago. Something like this that was such an easy way to get into the wedding industry without like having to do it for free or do it for nothing or whatever.
Yeah, we definitely want to use our connections, our experience, what we've built over the last almost decade in order to teach and like mentor and just give something back to the community that we didn't have, right? Because like you said, if we look back 9 years ago, even like we still would have done this 5 years ago, 4 years ago, you know, would have been something.
You think so?
I think so.
You think like
in 2019, I think we would have done something like that if it was available to us.
Like if a local photographer that we know was like, hey, I'm going to host this event, I don't know if we would go.
Yeah, but still in the sense of we were building our video business, maybe that was something that like if we needed a portfolio for our video business, it could have been something that's useful. But we're doing it in multiple different ways. Like we're doing it in the sense that our first one was just downtown Ottawa. We had a bride and groom, actually a past couple of ours, and he wore his suit, and we had a dress kind of like donated or lent to us by a nearby bridal shop. And we had florals from somebody that has just started their floral business, I guess. And it's a great way to get a lot of people to create content for them as well, right? So it's kind of like a styled shoot, but not.
Well, a styled shoot is much more involved. You know, there's like decor and flowers, and there's a concept, and the idea is to kind of get it published. We're not really going that route.
Yeah.
We're looking at trying to help people build their portfolio and get experience from people who are literally doing what they want to be doing. And maybe it's even for them to see if they even like weddings at all, right? Or have an idea or whatever. So
True.
It's really for them to get some experience, to ask us questions, and essentially just build, you know, even imagine if, say for instance, somebody is trying to book somebody, they're interested in booking them for their wedding, and they go, you know what, I haven't shot here, but here's all the photos that I've taken. It was a workshop, but these are all the photos that I've taken, and these are all the spots that I take them, and people fall in love with that. Like it doesn't really matter whether or not they've actually shot like like a full wedding. It's definitely going to help them, you know, get ahead of somebody else because they have some experience. And I think that is really what we're trying to do, is give them some experience. It's never going to be like able to replace shooting a full wedding, but a styled shoot isn't replacing a full wedding either. But this is giving them like the next best thing.
Well, that's the thing, is the styled shoot is like, you're not going into a styled shoot to learn, right? Like you're not going to, like, to a degree you can practice or try new things, but like you said, the goal of a styled shoot is to like create these images or videos and then get them published somewhere.
Or like put them all over your website or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's not like a real wedding.
Correct. And what we're doing is not a real wedding either, but we can definitely take it to the next level. Like as I was saying, we just kind of took a couple downtown and just showed like during sunset, here's a pattern that you can take and hit a couple different spots that look good with the lighting. And then our next one, we have a couple coming up, and we did an engagement session one where it's just going to be plain clothes people doing an engagement session, because I think that's also really important. If you aren't already giving an engagement session with your packages or having it as an add-on, that's definitely missed revenue. It's definitely a good way to, practice with people, and that's what we want. We want to show people, without the dress and suit, what can you make people do?
And how do you communicate with them?
Correct. Yeah. I think a lot of people are hesitant on that part, right? Like they love the art of the photography, but being able to like voice posing and make it seem like it's a natural kind of flow can be difficult. I still struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah. So let's walk through kind of what we did. So Luke essentially put a notice out, like a little kind of blurb saying, hey, this is what we want to do. Sign up to this email list and then we'll send you more information. And basically we had like over 100 people, I would say, sign up for more information to help build their portfolio. And I don't think we were expecting quite so many. I mean, I wasn't expecting quite so many. And then we sort of scheduled out like a bit of a release, and we started a Facebook group where we got people to join. And then essentially from there, we gave them kind of like a couple of days notice, and we sold out in less than 24 hours, which was pretty cool for 20 spots. Like it wasn't just like, 5 spots here. We're talking 20 spots sold out in less than 24 hours. And
we kept the cost pretty low, mostly because we had never done it before. So we just wanted like as much interest as possible so that people can meet us. I think that's one of the biggest things, is we wanted people just to see us in person, see us work, and give us some credibility.
Well, I think just also to figure out what people want to learn and how much they're willing to pay for it too. I think like there's so much that goes into understanding like how much would you be willing to pay to learn from somebody who's doing exactly what you want to be doing, right? And we've been on the other end where we've hired people to like learn from them, but we've never kind of flipped it and done it the opposite way to like a lot. Like we have coached people, and we have done some coaching, one-on-one with people or in very small group settings, but this was our first time doing like in person, and also, actually doing like a photo shoot. Before, I feel like we've done a lot more coaching on like the business side of things, definitely, which is still very valuable. And I still think that that's something that we're going to continue to do. But the idea of this is like, how do we actually shoot and how do we actually build a portfolio? Because at the end of the day, that's what people are missing. They're missing the experience of like actually shooting at different places with different people. And so we want to try and give them that. So the first one sold out in 24 hours. And then let's talk about the event itself and what it was like. Like, talk to me about, from your perspective, what did you like? What did you not like? Like, I'm curious from your perspective what you loved about it or didn't.
I think it was tough in the amount of time that we had. How long was the event? 2 hours, right? Is what we set out to do. And I think we hit 4 main locations.
Maybe
like
5,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5. There's some impromptu ones where we was like, oh, the sun's really good here, so like here we're gonna do a little bit. I found that I hope that people got a lot out of it. I think chatting, I didn't really even get to like one-on-one chat with every single person that came. It was very much like whoever was nearest to me. I found that maybe people didn't really know us, so there wasn't a lot of like questions being asked. I assumed we were going to be talking more, to be honest, about like with people. I felt like we were talking a lot about like giving direction and setting the stage for what people should expect.
Really? I felt like I talked the whole time. So maybe you just had a different experience.
Well, I mean, I did, but it was mostly like chit chatting. It wasn't like a lot of, I have a question about this or question about that. So, well, obviously you had a different experience. So tell me how you went.
Like, I didn't know what people wanted. Like, we asked them what they wanted to learn, but it wasn't like very specific in the sense of like, we asked them like, do you want to learn camera settings and things like that? once I started shooting, what I was doing is kind of saying things out loud. Like, these are my settings. This is how I would shoot it. This is what I'm looking for. And then like gave people a turn, basically. So I found after that, what was happening is people were asking me like what my settings were, or like how they would shoot it, or, you know, just like some prompts that we would use, like how do they get people to do certain things. And then I found that once we started showing people the different poses, I found that people were really excited to learn once we started doing the posing. I feel like people really came to light. So that would have been at our second location. And I think they really got a lot out of that because we were just ourselves. You know, we were just like being silly and being ourselves. And I just find that that was like the really like key part for me, where I found like, okay, I found my groove.
You mean when we were showing people the poses, like we would do it ourselves, you know, spin one, spin two. Yeah, I think a lot of people really enjoyed that. We initially started off by trying to do a 2-minute warning for each couple, like a couple of photographers to do and give direction. But I found that they maybe it was a little bit too early on the walk and they didn't really know how much direction or what they could do. So people were really struggling during that time. And then we switched really to everyone just take photos of everything, as we're the ones yelling the directions. And I think you're right. People kind of perked up a little bit more once we were the ones just giving them direction. They just wanted to hear us guide them and tell them like, how do we transition from one pose to the other? That makes a lot more sense. But then we're always worried about the spot that's like the best spot to take photos and people rotating out of that, because when you're 20 people, it's tough. You get pushed off to the sides. And if you're not the loudest one in the room, then it's very possible that you're just shooting on like weird angles and you won't get the full value of it. So I think we did a pretty good job at trying to rotate and keep people in line and going next. I think like doing the practical idea of like having them give direction and pose is definitely good. I think it made them come out of their comfort zone a little bit of like, holy shit, I better think of something, or else, you know, again, you're in front of a bunch of people and you don't want to embarrass yourself.
Yeah. I think for the next one, I want to do more of us posing and giving direction at first, and then let them shoot that. And then I think maybe at the end, we all give them, we save enough time where at the end they can have like their 2 minutes to give direction once they've warmed up and they feel more comfortable.
It was a really fun event. I came out of there thinking that, you know, fingers crossed, everyone had a good time. I definitely saw a lot of people post. And that's another thing that I really enjoyed, is seeing like the different editing styles and the different shots that everyone took, because we were all there. We all took the same shots essentially. And it's just fun to see different lenses, different cameras, different personalities, different styles, all of the same thing, right? Because you don't really see that if you're at a wedding, you're the only one shooting it. You're only going to see the photos of your style. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I hope that a lot of people got value out of it. I think like 80% of them signed up to be part of the next one.
Yeah.
Which is a good feeling, I think. It means that they obviously got some kind of value out of it.
Yeah. And I think there was also just such a range of skill sets.
Yeah. Some were really beginner and some were a little bit more advanced. Some had won awards.
Exactly. And I think that made it kind of interesting, because you got to see like the dynamic of everybody there. But it was also too, that's one thing I wanted to point out. It wasn't just about learning. It was also about networking with other photographers.
True.
And I think that was really important for people to be able to meet other people who are doing the same thing in a very like in a nice way, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a nice setup. It's like an interesting thing, and like you have something that you can bond over, and it's like, oh, remember when we did that event together?
Yeah.
And like blah blah blah.
Or easiest icebreaker ever. What are you shooting on? What do you think about this? Like, you're both shooting the same thing. Talk about cameras, talk about this. Like, anyone that is a photographer usually has like geeked out about some kind of gear, camera, lenses, style. I don't know. There's always something to talk about, like when you're thinking about photography or videography. So
Yeah.
I found that was actually really cool at the conference that we went to. Meeting other people that were from Ottawa was kind of cool. And then other people even from the States or abroad. and just connecting with them. So giving that opportunity to everyone that came, I think is a huge bonus for that too. Like even just us meeting new people, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people I had no idea who they were before. So it's so nice to be able to meet them. So fast forward a couple weeks after our first photo walk event, which was the beginning of June.
Yeah.
And we decided to launch another one. But this one, we wanted to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Because we have such great connections with a lot of the venues that are local to us. We decided to open it up to doing a photo walk event, but at a specific venue. What's nice about doing it at a venue is that this way they are going to learn exactly, you know, how we would shoot certain things at that specific venue. And what's really wonderful about it is that we can use the entire space. Like we can really like maximize their portfolio in that way. And there's so much variety. Like I'm just thinking specifically because the venue that we're going to is called the Belvedere, which is in Wakefield, Quebec, which is about, you know, an hour away from us.
Something like that, yeah.
Very, very popular, iconic wedding venue in our area that I'm assuming not everybody has shot at before. And so this is such a unique opportunity for people to go and learn from professionals who've shot there lots of times, and then also be able to build their portfolio there with some images. And then they'll be able to talk to future clients about their experience being there. Like there's so many big wins to this that we think it's such an incredible experience. Obviously, pricing wise, we had to increase it a little bit, but I think the value that they're going to get out of this is going to be enormous. We also shrunk the size of the group as well to make it so that this way it's a little bit more intimate that way. And I'm actually really excited for this one. Like I'm excited for the engagement one because I think it's going to be interesting to go and shoot a couple that we've never worked with before and kind of walk people through how I go through that whole process, you know, how I explain how things are going to work and just connect with them and pose them and all that kind of stuff. But what's nice about this is it's going to be very much like building a portfolio for these photographers in one of the best venues, I would say, in our area.
And you didn't even mention one of the parts that we've added as well is we made it longer because we're going to include there's getting ready spaces at this venue. Getting ready is on site, and we're going to include some of the getting ready photos and how we direct that. I mean, it's not going to be a full getting ready, but we're going to do some details, and then we're going to do some bride and groom prep before we jump into. So I think using all, like you said, all the different spaces, all of the venue, but also including prep. I think like mentoring somebody or showing somebody how you do prep, like how often do you even get that as an experience for anything? Like we didn't have that.
I don't know for sure if the person is going to come, but I'm having somebody give us a whole bunch of different flat lay setups. So like different invitations and stationery to play with. And I'm going to have maybe 3 to 4 stations set up. And they're going to be fully styled for people to take photos of. And then I'm going to have like a station where they can also, you know, do their own, so they can style things on their own as well. And the reason that I want to do that is because I think that there's value in having that in your portfolio as well and seeing how that's done. And I'm going to be bringing in an expert for that part of it as well. So
yeah, because I feel like it's almost cheating to like show the details that's been laid out, because you do have to like build it yourself on a wedding day. Nobody's going to build that for you.
But it is nice to have something that's done like really well, so you can shoot that and
definitely
have it.
Portfolio, yes. But if people are like, I want that photo at my wedding, like I struggle with details. I find it's really hard to make it like in a nice pattern, and especially when there's like flowers involved and invitations.
It takes practice.
It does, yeah.
It takes a lot of practice. And even though I've done them hundreds of times, I still sometimes get stumped by like, okay, what am I going to do? You know?
But it's good that they'll see different variations of what you can do with some styling of details. But then like a bit of prep, and then we're just going to hit like all of the nice places at the venue. I'm really excited for that one too. The more intimate group, I'm hoping, is going to lead to more one-on-one interactions and more like better questions or like deeper questions, you know, not just like, oh, what's your ISO? Sure, I can tell you, but you're not really going to learn anything if I just tell you what my settings are every time, you know?
But I think that there's value in
Correct.
people, like I would
I think
wanna
that was
know.
like the rainbow of like different skill sets that were at the like the lower price point in the bigger group. And I think there's value in like having all sorts of people, because one of the questions that came out of the photo walk was, are you going to tier your photo walks or your events based on experience? Like super beginner to I've shot a bunch of weddings and like I just want to take it to the next level. And that's just food for thought, you know, like maybe we're trying to make them all different, all the different photo walks. So it might be something in the future.
Yeah, I think we will. But the thing is I think in order to bring people's businesses to the next level, it's not doing a photo walk event, right? It's more than that.
It's more like the mentoring, the coaching, the one-on-one,
business.
the business side. It's true. I think a lot of people, yeah, once you have a portfolio, if you like, let's say you've shot at every venue like one time or something, right? And there's 20 venues and you've done that over a couple years. So even with that portfolio, if you're not improving like the value that you give or the processes or the customer experience, like, or we're marketing, right? Like I think I put a poll in our group not that long ago, and marketing was the number one thing that people struggle with.
What are the next steps? Where do we see this going? Like, what do you see like this path?
To infinity and beyond. I'd love to get as many of these as possible, like to hit up more venues and to keep changing it so that it's a little bit of a challenge for us, right? This year, we don't have as many weddings as we've had in previous years. So it's allowed us to diversify what we focus on. Like we're continuing with this podcast, and this is the first time that we're continuing a podcast through a wedding season. I don't know if you've thought of it that way, but we're still going, you know, still going strong, one a week, maybe more in the future. But I think that the photo walks are just going to evolve. I'm hoping that we can just help people really take their business to the next level. Like we clearly have a lot of experience, right? And we do this podcast so that we can share it with the rest of the world. And that's just what we do. We love teaching others, and there's nothing better than to give somebody something of value and like their business increases and like everyone wins essentially.
But I also think I do see us creating some kind of an online presence as well, where we can teach other people, because I feel like as much as the in-person thing is great, and I think we'll always be able to find people who are going to want this, right? Because every year new people are looking to become photographers and things like that. So I do see this as like a rolling kind of thing that we do kind of maybe each summer. Maybe in the winter time, we focus a little bit more on helping people build their business and improve their marketing and do that kind of stuff, and that mental sort of stuff that they need to be doing, or maybe helping them go full time in their business. Because at the end of the day, you know, if maybe they have been doing this for a while, but they're not full time yet, like again, you know, they need the space to be able to do that. So
I think we really love that, right? Like coaching somebody from part-time and like taking it to full-time.
And so I really see that as something that we get deeper into and really growing that community, because I think that there's so much to learn. There's so much to be able to give. And we've learned a lot along the way. We've taught ourselves so many things, and we've seen so many things. And sometimes I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, and that we really do know a lot of stuff, and we can sort of teach somebody a lot of things. But I'm giving us the credit now. I'm, you know, like high-fiving us because we've put in all the work, and yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes.
So that's a little snapshot into what we've been up to with the photo walk event and where we see it going in the future. I think it's something that we're excited to do. We want to mix it up, try new things, trying to innovate kind of new ways to teach people, you know, because building that portfolio is one thing, but even just having access to people that are ahead of you in the same game is instrumental. It can really take your business to the next level. And we just want everyone to raise up, you know, like everyone, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. And yeah, it's something that we didn't have when we were growing up. And we really want to offer it in this like this gap in the market and just give other people a chance that we never had access to. So
Yeah, and build a community where other people are helping each other too, right? It's not just us. There's so much to learn from everybody.
I know. I saw actually one of them like posted something in our group, and then other people were answering the question, and I was like, "Aw!" Like I feel good now because like they're all helping each other. They're validating and feeling important and sharing information. That's kind of what we want. We want to bring this community together and just make sure that everyone feels supported, right? Because it can be a pretty isolating role.
Turning heads with their flash, wedding photographers capturing love in a flash, taking shots like paparazzi, they're a dynamic duo, posing couples like models on their love they bestow, shooting weddings, they got the perfect frame, look behind the lens while Bethany brings the flame, capturing every moment, they never miss a beat, freezing time, making memories that are oh so sweet.